Ladies and gentlemen, and this is Why Did the USSR Refuse to Annex Mongolia? By the channel History Matters. Okay, USSR refused to annex. I guess this is the time where USSR was newer, I guess. Look, if I were to think, why won't USSR annex Mongolia? Because it's right there, right? And actually, I remember watching certain videos. I don't know if it was from real life lore or whatever, but Mongolia can make a certain pathway for Russia to be better, right? Like trains can go directly to the, what is that port near the Japan, right? Now they have to zigzag, but yeah. So in the central Russia, there are many places which are really inaccessible because of the, coldness or whatever, just, overall terrain. So Mongolia can solve a lot of things because, let's be honest, most of Mongolia is flat. So sometimes you have to wonder why Mongolia was not part of USSR, which I didn't know. I thought it was, at the time it was or something. But yeah, only thing I can think of is probably to not piss off China, right? Because it was, I have to think it was probably part of the China, right? Chinese dynasty, if I remember correctly, watching some of the, ancient, was it Marco Polo from Netflix? I don't know, which probably showed in the later stages were part of all China and whatever, because Mongolians basically, took over most of China and Mongolia. Over time it became China, so it was part of China. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, the only reason could be to not piss off Chinese when you're trying to create your own thing, right? You want to make as less as enemy as you can. But yeah, so let's watch it. History Matters is a great channel. I like how they basically explain something in really short period. It's just like short clips before short clips was a thing in YouTube. But yeah, let's watch it.
Throughout history, it's been rare for a country to request to be annexed. It's even rarer for the answer to that question to be no. But when the Mongolian People's Republic asked the USSR several times to be incorporated into it, the answer was always that. Which raises the obvious question. Why? Why did the USSR refuse to annex Mongolia? First, it should be noted just how an independent Mongolia...
Okay, seriously, Mongolia asked to be annexed? That's some next... How fucked up was China? The Mongolia's like, you know what, let's just, come here. Come with the tanks and shit, just, annex this.
Came to be, and the USSR's role in that. As many of you will know, Mongolia was a part of China under the Qing dynasty. That wasn't until it all, to use a technical term, went to hell and Mongolia declared its independence in 1911. It was briefly reincorporated into the new Republic of China in 1919 before declaring its independence again 2 years later. At this point, the Russian Civil War was well underway and it soon spilled over into Mongolia and it was occupied by communist troops. Now, the new USSR did agree with the Chinese that Mongolia was still a rightful part of China. After a series of talks in 1924, the Soviets agreed to withdraw. But the timetable for this would be set at another meeting, except for one issue. The USSR was now under new mustachioed leadership who simply opted to postpone the meeting to Monday the 4th of Never and then created a communist government in Mongolia.
I don't know. I see a trend there, right? They didn't want to piss off China, but they didn't want to let go of Mongolia either. So I guess they actually took over Mongolia and they're like, oh, it's still part of you, right? We're not saying it's not part of China. We're not annexing it. It's still you, but we'll talk about it later. Then meeting happened, maybe next time. It's just like, putting dates. And now the new leader comes. And I don't think new leader changed anything. Their plan all along was to not give Mongolia without actually creating war with China, right? So they never actually gave it back to China.
Inception, Communist Mongolia was a Soviet puppet state. However, unlike its neighbour to the north, the Tuvan People's Republic, Mongolia wasn't annexed into the USSR. And the primary reason for this was to avoid war both with China and also Japan. From 1952 onwards, Mongolia was ruled by a man called Yumjaglin Sedambal. Look, I'm not even going to pretend that pronunciation was any good. Sedambal...
Yeah, because let's be honest, before the revolution, the Tsar basically got his ass kicked by the Japanese, which was the first thing, right? Russia's like, what the fuck? Did you get your ass kicked by Japan? So obviously they're going to learn from that. They're not going to antagonize China. So China can basically run to Japan, create an alliance and fight against Russia, right? That's awesome.
Over the course of his premiership, asked to be incorporated into the USSR at least 6 times. And each and every time, the answer was no. So why? Well, it was down to the fact that the USSR could get everything it wanted from Mongolia without any sort of negatives that would come from annexing it. Also, when you look at all of the states that the USSR did annex, they were by and large all former parts of the Russian Empire. And annexing states from outside of these borders wasn't something any Soviet leaders were interested in. Largely because the USSR wanted to cultivate an international reputation of being anti-imperialist and pinching neighbours didn't fit with that. Mongolia's economy had largely been built by the USSR to serve the needs of Moscow, and Mongolia was incorporated into the Soviet economy nearly to the same extent as, say, Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan. It's just that having it as a nominally independent nation would spare the upset of the USSR's valuable Chinese allies to the south. And also, it was a card
basically, it was similar to special military operations. That was that similar to. I mean, we are not going to say that we annexed, and we are not going to annex officially, but it's part of us.
The USSR always wanted to hold in case it needed diplomatic leverage with the Chinese. Theoretically, the status of Mongolia could always be settled at a later date and always in China's favour if the right situation ever arose. Which is why, despite Mongolia's asking, the USSR always refused to annex it. Mongolia was already giving it everything that it wanted. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching, with a special thanks to my patrons, James Bizanet, Kelly Moneymaker, Danny Maloney, Marvin Cassow, The Pastry Section, Rob Waterhouse,
Wait, what is that?
Aaron the White, James Castaneda, Jordan Longley, Gustavo the Pastry, Annette, Kelly Moneymaker.
Who is this? Why did he erase him? What happened there?
Danny Maloney, Marvin Cassow, The Pastry Section, Rob Waterhouse, Aaron the White, James Castaneda.
Stalin used to paint his picture, right? Edit his friends and whatever. Oh God, I love this. This was so fucking awesome. That's Stalin, right?
Castaneda, Jordan Longley, Gustav Swan, Marcus Arsner, Jerry Lambdin, Rashid Ali, Colin Castleman, Spinning Three Plates, David Silverman, Maggie Paxkowski, Coppertone, Izzy, Spencer Lightfoot, Phobo.
Oh my God, I'm not gonna lie. The Stalin thing is so fucking incredible, right? How he basically just, I mean, he was so paranoid that he used to kill off his friends for nothing, right? It's just somewhat of a paranoia, which, I don't know, maybe at the time in the Soviet Union, especially when the republic was kind of not solidified, right, completely. It was a new thing. USSR was a new thing relatively compared to all the other empires. So maybe his fear comes from the French Revolution or something, where lots of people's heads just rolled, right? So maybe he was like, maybe somebody's coming after me because I've been here for long. I'm a leader, right? Maybe they didn't like this. Maybe they think the new leader should be there, or somebody's getting greedy. Somebody close to me is probably getting greedy. The paranoia kind of understandable, right? When you're at that position, everybody's your enemy. Somebody just acts differently. Oh, I'm not gonna be an idiot throughout the history where you just got backstabbed by your friend. Fuck it, I'm just gonna eliminate him. And he eliminated him, erased from the history by painting on the pictures. This is so fucking ridiculous. But yeah. Alright. Why did the USSR refuse to annex Mongolia? They kind of did, but didn't do it officially, right? Because of the geopolitics. They want to piss off Chinese and Japanese. That kind of made sense to me. I thought it was just China, but yeah, Japan makes sense, right? Because Japan kind of recently, relatively recently, kicked their asses, which was a new thing for Russia. So they didn't want to, find out after that. But yeah. Well, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. Comment down if you want to react to any specific video. Check out the reaction I did. There's a link in the description with a playlist and things. And yeah, I'll see you next time.